I've been putting this video off. Procrastination is unfortunately one of my pastimes. I guess I should just put off procrastinating, but I don't. This year has been a tough one for many. At the beginning of the year, I got news that my oldest friend, a lady that held a special place in my life and heart, had been fighting for her life and wasn't doing well, and it didn't look good. She was 94 and was facing surgery, and afterward didn't progress well, and I was prepared by her daughter that another surgery was needed to save her life, but things didn't look good enough for her to go through that. I had the feeling then that she was going soon, and I said a prayer for her and to her spirit, and I said my goodbyes. I told her how much she had meant to me over the years and the things she unknowingly taught me, and how much her continued support of whatever I was doing meant to me. She taught me what unconditional love really meant and felt like, which is something I hadn't realized that I didn't previously have. She taught me, unbeknownst to her, that family didn't always mean a blood DNA tie. True family is chosen and feels pure and good without the pain of bad memories and echoes of past hurt. This fine lady, and she was a lady in every sense of the word, would always have a sweet compliment, words of support when I called her, and would always tell me how much she was proud of me every time we spoke. When life deals us with hardships or hard times, it's priceless to know someone like her still exists and will always be standing behind you and will always love you, even though they don't have to. I originally met her when I was in my early teens, when my brother became her lifeguard at a private swimming pool locally. Then fast forward 20 plus years, she's teaching swimming, and my son graduates from her swimming class on his 3rd birthday. And we have his birthday party there at the pool. Within months, I have a surprise birthday party for my mom for her 50th. I invite Mrs. Stone, and she comes. One of the best memories about that, or from that party for my mom, was the fact that Mrs. Stone attended her party. That really meant a lot to my mother. Then fast forward another 20 plus years, I participated in something that was very important to me, and a book was written about it, and my name was added to the acknowledgement page. And my friend Sarah orders a book. And then when the author comes to the area for a fundraiser, she attends and gets autographs. Around that time, I wanted to buy some property in a small West Texas town, Memphis, Texas. If you want to know about Memphis, see the video called My Namesake, and you'll see the story. But I wanted to buy property there, and I was talking to her about it, and she says, well, let's go see it. And we made a road trip, and we stayed the night. While driving around, we encountered a stray kitten that was walking down the middle of the road with his tail straight up, and he was strutting towards us as if he was the mayor of the city and the leader of the welcoming committee for us. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. He couldn't have been much more than a couple of months old. And after asking around and knocking on doors, asking who it belonged to, people told us it was a stray. Well, Mrs. Stone insisted on adopting it and taking it home and calling it Memphis. That was one lucky cat, and he had the best life possible. Bless his heart. A couple years later, my dad died, and she was there to show her support and pay her respects. Then a couple years later, my mom passes. And the very next day, I was scheduled to have throat surgery to remove a fast-growing, aggressive tumor that was wrapped around my vocal cords. I was already in shock from losing my mother the day before, but the surgeon prepared me for the worst. She said there was a very likely possibility that I would not be able to speak again. And on one of the hardest days at that point in my life, my friend Sarah was there with me. She sat with me until surgery and was a stand-in there along with my boss. They stood in as if my mom would be there for support, and then for me when I woke up, no matter what the outcome. After staying the night at the hospital under post-op observation, she returned to the hospital and took me home so I could rest and then prepare for Mom's visitation that evening. This was the kind of friend she was. She intuitively sensed a need when there was one and stepped into place without being asked. She was a remarkable lady who loved her family, her friends, all animals, and with all of her being. She loved her country. She grew up on a farm in Kansas and had the best education. She traveled the world. She taught English to children in Mexico, helped build schools and churches there, had 4 sons and a daughter, and married a man who retired as a professor at a local university. In her last 10 or so years, she traveled the world again, this time with her senior choir, where they went to Rome, went to the Vatican. She even brought me back a beautiful framed prayer. And all I'd ask when she asked me what I wanted, if I wanted anything from the Vatican or from Rome, I said, yeah, just bring me back some rosary beads and I'll be cool with it. But she she really wanted to give me something other than rosary beads. She wanted something more substantial, more impactful, I suppose. And what she brought me is a beautiful hand-painted prayer that's framed in gold, in glass, in gold, and it's from the Vatican. She told me, be very careful with that. When she handed it to me, she said, I carried that all over Rome with me to make sure nothing happened to it. So it is one of the most precious, cherished items I have. She also, I found out recently, traveled to China and then later to Alaska. It seems like I remember talking about the China trip, but the Alaska trip, I don't remember going there, but I've not slept much since then. She was probably in her late 80s when she went to Alaska. Well, that precious lady saw more of the world than most people and would always find beauty in the smallest of things. You've heard the old phrase, when someone's heart is as big as Texas. Well, her heart was as big as the world. And I consider myself extremely lucky to have had her be a part of my life. Sarah loved butterflies and the color pink. So I asked that you plant something pink this spring in her honor, or plant something that attracts butterflies. She would love that. I lost two dear friends in January, and this is a story of one of them. I'm not sure what year it was when we first physically met and started being friends, but I think it was on Facebook. It was during a major election, I remember that much. Could have been when Obama was elected, but I'm not sure. I remember that Terry and I chatting online through messaging, and then realized that we were actually neighbors, and then we finally met up and become instant friends. Who says you can't meet someone on Facebook and it turn out okay? Well, it did. We instantly become sisters from another mister. In the afternoon, after almost every election, I'd stop by her house on the way home from the polls and would share observations and experiences and thoughts, and then would chat about dogs and cats and her latest pet adoptions or fosters. And if the weather was good, would walk around her house and check out her flowers in her yard and, girl talk. I also remember several years ago I was in need of a colonoscopy. Oh joy, right? She hooked me up with a doctor that did hers. She even picked me up and gave me a ride to and from. Bless her heart. And when my dog Scotty got so sick that he needed to cross the bridge, she picked us up and drove us to the vet. I remember that day like it was yesterday, and remembering it always opens the floodgates to my soul. That day it was pouring rain, and I'm not sure, but I think the reason it was raining from heaven was that all the angels were also crying with me. But my buddy, my neighbor, my cohort in crime, my sister from another mister, she understood. Because she was also an animal lover and a foster caregiver, and to anything with fur. She also comforted me while returning me home, holding an empty leash and a collar. But she got it, and I felt safe being able to cry and mourn with her because she got it. Terry was a special lady, and although this video talks about two ladies that are special that I lost in January, both really were special and kind and gave of themselves to anyone in need, regardless if they actually knew them or not. Terry would organize a food drive, clothing drive, or actually drive someone someplace who needed help. She was just that kind of person. And this just didn't stop with humans. Over the years, she adopted or fostered numerous fur babies until they took their last breaths or until she found a permanent, forever home for them. Terry was a tomboy with the girly girl spirit. Or is that vice versa? I don't know. Now, thinking back on it, I think I originally met her at her tanning salon that she owned while I was checking out some jewelry and girly dresses for a bridal gift for someone many years ago. But it wasn't until many, many years later we eventually became friends and neighbors. I just remembered right before the last presidential election, I ordered a full-size cardboard stand-up of President Trump. It wasn't cheap either, but the reason I bought it was to surprise her and make her laugh. I wanted to stand it up outside her gate, and then I called and told her to come outside because I had brought somebody, an old friend that I wanted her to say hello to. She came out and laughed so hard. Yep, it was well worth the money spent to see the joy that piece of cardboard and a picture of Trump on it brought her. She loved Trump. She loved America, loved her family and fur babies, and loved to have fun and help people. I'm proud to say she was one of my subscribers here. I love you, Terry. I miss you. Keep an eye on me. I need all the help I can get. Godspeed. Oh, by the way, Terry, see if you can find Mrs. Stone. Tell her Cindy Lou says hi. You girls will really hit it off. I love you. I love you both. Thanks for listening. If you guys have special people like this in your lives, please tell them how much you love them and what they mean to you. It will help them feel better about all the energies they put out. It'll let them know they're appreciated. And I appreciate you guys for listening. God bless.